reply to on Twitter, maybe 15 of let's just say 20 people that are in your niche podcasting don't do that. You're a very small percentage that is doing that. You're already going to be successful, and you're going to shine just because you're being your true self, rather than trying to, be like people you say that are quote unquote competition. Don't see them as competition. Don't even keep your blinders on. Focus on you. Focus on your podcast, and when you pair that with yourself, consistency and commitment and clarity, you're going to be so successful, and you won't even have to look at that.
100%, absolutely. You did answer the question. I think it's such a great, I would say, way of putting out. I always say that there's not such a thing as competition, just the way you perceive it. So I appreciate that. Welcome. We have an interview right now ongoing with 7 digits producer on podcast. So you're gonna see me in and out, in and out.
I'd say for the brands and the entrepreneurs who haven't found their voice yet or identity, all the way back to the beginning of the call, I would say just start doing, start executing. Because I know for me with Growth Media, we didn't have an identity for a little bit, and it took a lot of time to find that. And a lot of the time I was waiting to find that. Like in actuality, your identity and your brand voice comes through when you start executing, when you start meeting people, when you start marketing your services. That starts to just come out when you are yourself. That'll truly come out, and all you have to do is really just see. Go back in your Instagram feed, go back in your emails. So this is our persona. This is the personality that we are. So let's just portray it. And then to start with your first question was, people that want to emulate others. Why is it so important that you're yourself? It's just like saying, I remember seeing an article where LeBron James always wanted to be like Michael Jordan, and he wanted to be better. I think there's a very fine line where emulating can be good and it can be bad. For me, my role model is Grant Cardone. I don't want to emulate his personality and exactly who he is. I want to be myself, but there's many things I can find, through his coaching, through his training, through different mannerisms, through different, ideology that he portrays to his audience. I think is so important for an individual to grow, is keeping those small bets. Keep what you like, and then also be yourself, because that's just going to push you to be even bigger and more successful than you already are. Is finding. Yes. I think it's so important. People, not just podcasters, but in general, they have a role model that they follow and listen to on a consistent basis. I remember Grant had said a few weeks ago, I was listening to one of his older podcasts. He said, when you start really, really dialing in and focusing on one role model and one coach, that voice is going to speak to you through different situations. But when you listen to a lot of different role models, Tabitha, and different coaches, in certain situations, it's like you're in a car and someone telling you to go left and another person telling you to go right. You don't know what to do. But when you have a true, clear one specific person that you follow and you think is best for your growth, that's just going to absolutely give you that inner voice that says, you need to do this. Or, you know what, I don't really feel great about this opportunity. Maybe let's go in this direction. I think that's the biggest thing for me. I remember before finding grants, I would always have these kind of questions like, maybe, am I overthinking this? You know, maybe I should put out the service. Maybe I shouldn't put out the service. And I think not only finding that one true person that you follow is important, I think getting those around you and maybe putting them onto their content. Because I know I've had relationships with people and friends that they have a coach, but they also have people around them kind of going against it. I've witnessed it myself because some of my family actually, you know, compared to Grant's ideology, somewhat go against it. So, you know, there was a point where, you know, I had some questions and concerns, and maybe I should do it, maybe I shouldn't. Grant's like, go all in. So that's what I did. And, you know, you got to shut out the noise sometimes.
Yeah, I love that, Noah. That was powerful. That nugget right there could save entrepreneurs so much time and energy when you're in, because you can be pulled in so many different directions because you have too many mentors, you have too many or too many voices in your head with conflicting information. Interesting that you talked about brand, because if you go back, you talked about Brand's earlier podcast. If you go back to, super funny, because my business coach and mentor told me in October of 2020 that I needed to follow Grant Cardone for a year. And this is my business coach and mentor. And I thought, wow, nobody ever says to go outside of our platform for training. They always say, we have everything we need right here. But he was saying, if you want to get to $1 million a year in income, you need to follow Grant Cardone. And I pulled one of his original YouTube videos, and I'm telling you, he was young. And one of the things now, seeing Grant now and Grant back then, he didn't even have his persona, his brand together way back in the early days. Just like you said, he was still trying to figure it out. And the Grant back then and the Grant today are completely different grants, and you can see the growth of them. Alexi had a question in the chat. He wants to know, thank you for the question. He asked, what is your best tip on getting in front of new people and growing your audience?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. Yeah, absolutely, Alexi. So the first thing I would say, there's a bunch of things that come to my head, so I'll just say them. So the first thing I would do to get in front of brand new people that may want to listen to your show is, you know, diving into the most popular hashtags on Instagram and Twitter and reaching out to these people saying, hey, my name's Alexi. I have a podcast about this. Would love for you to tune in. Would love kind of your feedback since you're already involved in this market. You know, tune in, send them like meet them. I think it's funny to have like all these questions. It just comes to one answer really. It's like meeting people, be connected. Like the more you're connected, the more you're involved in the community, the more people you meet, the more opportunities that come, the more streams you'll get, the more downloads. I'm sure that's important to you since you're a podcaster, Alexi. You know, everything that you want as an outcome, it all stems from meeting people and not just being like spammy, like actually caring. I think that's a very big point to make before I say this next part is it's just being extremely truthful, caring about the community. So I care about podcasters. So I listen to what are they struggling with? How can I help them? And then my services come in. Then the company grows. But starting out at the top and really working my way all the way down through the pain and solutions that we could possibly solve for them, I think is so important. So I would say that as well as being consistent marketing on social media, that has been an absolute game changer. And third, I think would be very helpful for you, Alexi, is developing kind of like an email list of listeners that tune in on a consistent basis. That way, you can stack 100, 200, 300, 1,000, 10,000 listeners
doing
and
live
shoot out
on
email
Clubhouse
blast as soon
and
as your
also
new
on
episode
YouTube.
goes live. That way you're getting
And
reoccurring
part of it.
listeners. But as far as meeting new people, it's just being connected. Maybe it's not even social media, Tabitha.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people I've met that have helped my business are out here
This
in the
is all
community.
about how to
So maybe
learn
it's
how
just
to
going
grow
out,
your business to 7
going
digits.
out to cool events, meeting people, shaking hands. I can't tell you how many people I've met just drinking at the bar, sometimes celebrating, and I shake hands with someone that's a master marketer or that does something similar to us, like has a brand and is working on getting that brand even larger and helping more people. And there's a lot of commonality. I know I just met a friend. His name's Evan. He's in the biomedical field. I just met him two weeks ago with India. We were out in downtown, just hanging out and having dinner. And and that connection's been extremely helpful because he wants to start a company and he has these talents that I have no idea, as far as biomedical, that's not the way my brain's kind of trained. So it's so awesome to be connected. I think just being as connected as possible and growing that. So that, I hope that answered your question. Just meet as many people as possible and let them know who you are. Be yourself.
Yeah, that was powerful. Alexi, please let us know in the chat if that answered your question or if you have a follow-up question. I'm coming to you, Peter. But Noah, I just wanted to share, you said community. So once a month, my office does a community event, whatever it is. So I'll give you an example. We built beds for kids who sleep on the floor. It's called Sleep in Heavenly Peace Organization, a nonprofit. I helped at our local fair doing tickets, and just this past weekend, I was volunteering at a local event that hundreds, thousands, I think the attendance is somewhere around 100,000 people attend this event over the weekend. And so I was volunteering bartending. And now, mind you, I put myself through college bartending. So I think I'm a pretty okay bartender. And just in that event, I picked up close to $1 million worth of investment clients. And I wasn't there to pick up investment clients. I was there to serve the community. But what happens, and I was sharing this with my office, what happens when you're networking in an event where people are actually relaxing versus working, there's a lot more conversation to be had. So that was a huge tip. I appreciate that. Over to you, Peter.
I do. Yeah. So I have actually a few questions, but I'm gonna start with number one question. Yeah. I know that you started Read Media in 2019, and I was just wondering from the standpoint of view of the period of time where you started Read Media and where you are right now, what was the biggest challenges and biggest hurdle that you encountered and how you managed to pass over them victoriously? That would be number one as a question.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think the biggest hurdle, that's such a great question. The first thing that comes to my mind is I think it's just I wasn't confident starting out. Like I didn't have these small things I could build off of and really create momentum for my business. It was very much so. I didn't know pricing. I didn't know the community. I was so new to everything. I loved building brands. I loved the ideas, and I knew I wanted to create something special. I just didn't have any wins. Nobody's paid me for my work before. I'm literally charging like $10 for custom music for these podcasters. I didn't know editing was a thing, so I started out with making beats for people that are custom. And it take me time. But you know, I think the biggest thing that changed was over time. Like it wasn't one big win. It was a bunch of little wins that just stacked and stacked and stacked. And I think it's so important that not just podcasters, but you know, people that own brands and businesses that want to, you know, they want to find that big growth hack. There really isn't. Like for something that's super special and successful, I think it does take those small wins so you can climb that ladder, so you can get even, you know, it's just like a stock, right? It takes years and years and years to develop into something that's very valuable. And I think it's just the same for a successful business. So to answer your question, I think my biggest struggle was not having confidence, not having small wins, and not knowing pricing. I was, like I said, I was charging next to nothing. I started slowly, you know, changing. Okay, maybe my price should be $100. Okay, maybe I should add this service and this service and this, because I'm hearing from the community that this is what they want, and I know I can provide that. So how do I provide that? I wrote out a business plan. I wrote out pricing. And then I'm constantly changing things. Even now, I'm constantly changing price due to demand, which is an excellent, you know, it's an awesome problem to have. So I think it's something that's constantly changing. But from there to here, the biggest struggle is not having confidence. And how did I get through that? It's stacking small wins. So my first customer, my second, my 100th customer, my 1,000th customer, all of those wins give me so much confidence that, oh, I can do this, Peter. I can do this. I can change my prices now because I'm more valuable because I have expertise. And Tabitha, the first thing that I think about when this question kind of came up was, you're more valuable when you know more. And back to Grant Cardone, my mentor, listening to his content, he always says, the more you know, the more people will flow to you. So the more you know, the more you sharpen your skills, the more knowledge and education you have on your topic, people are going to pay you more. Look at Tom Brady; he knows everything, every small part of the game. He's the top, highest paid quarterback in the league. Teams like to have us, Peter, and that's because I changed my prices. That's exactly every little situation in the game. That's why he's paid the most.
Awesome. India, did you have a question or something you want to add? I saw your flashing light.
Yes, I would love to add something. So back to the whole conversation and what makes Noah so different in his own field of podcasting is not only his commitment, but I hear a lot of something that I like to instill in my students is the power of yeah. So it's a lot of like, I can't do this, but I haven't done this. Instead of saying those negative things like, oh, I can't start a podcast. It's not that you can't do it, you just haven't done it yet. So I can't do this yet. I don't know this yet. So you're gonna get to that point where Noah's describing where, you know, at first when he started out, he wasn't sure about prices or who to target or what his niche was. But it wasn't that he didn't know, it was the power of yeah, he didn't know it yet. So having that shift in mind that makes you be able to make your, I guess, dreams or desires a reality. Because it's not that you can't do it. It's not that you don't have to. Fine. It's just that you haven't had time yet. So it's a good shift to start with yeah at the end of kind of like phrases or sentences that you just haven't reached. And that kind of, I see Noah do that. And it's also just a lot of commitment that he has to make it his, oh, I haven't done this. Well, I haven't done this yet. And then he now is doing it. So it takes commitment and also that shift in saying, you know, I can do this. I just haven't done it yet.
Tell the clubhouse about saying yes to opportunities that come our way.
Yeah, so our favorite word in the house is yes. Yes, I can help edit your podcast. Yes, I can give you an example. Yes, I will. Yes, I will babysit. Yes, to everything. Things that get out of your comfort zone. We always say yes And that makes our schedule a lot busier, but it also gives us new opportunities and potential to reach growth. So we have a very similar mindset in that we're always saying, yeah, even if it's out of our comfort zone, that's kind of when the best opportunities happen. And when we reach new clients or new people or have new opportunities. You're not going to get opportunities sitting in your house saying, no, it's okay. I'll just stay here. No, I don't have time for you. It's all about yes. And having that also not open and flexibility to, say yes. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm at least willing to say yes and figure out the rest later. So commit now, figure out the rest later is kind of another thing we always say. So it's the power of yet and the power of yes. Those are two things that I think people should take away, especially those who are business owners or have a podcast. Power of yet and the power of yes.
Amazing.
That was powerful. I appreciate you showing up here. I'm not surprised, though. I am not surprised. But Peter, before I go to your questions, I had one more for India because I think this is really important for the people who are going to listen to this replay. India, those individuals who have a partner and they're trying to grow their business, speak to them on how they get their partner support. And because I think it's real, I'm fortunate, and I think Noah feels really fortunate himself that my husband supports every dream I have, every vision I have. And so I think I'm fortunate. Not everybody has that. So speak to them. How do they get that? How do they get their partner to come on board? Not necessarily in business, but in support. What would you say to that real quick?
Well, that's definitely a good question to ask because those who have tried to reach aspirations or are starting a business or working on their business, it's definitely a time consuming thing. We'll be out and have a phone call or we'll be on a date and he has to leave early to go finish something. And it's not something that I'm like, oh, why are you doing this? It's more of like, I support you. This is something that I see you love. It's your passion. How can I help? And sometimes not only supporting him means to, help him, but it's more just to listen to his ideas. So whenever he has an idea, he kind of runs it by me. And I'm not giving him like, oh, you should do this or that. It's more of like, you know what, that's a really good idea. Why haven't we done it? And so I think to be successful in a relationship with someone who, not only works full time, but has business on top of that, is to really look at it as something that he is enjoying, and I want him to get the most out of what he wants. So it's really, I'm not sacrificing anything, I'm just supporting him along. And at first it might be frustrating to those who are in relationships and people who are just starting businesses, but there is a balance. It can happen. I know Noah said before, he makes it work. I see him working all hours of the day, waking up early, staying up late, but we still have priorities. We still have a list that things that are important do get done. We just got a puppy too, so that's another thing that we have to juggle. And we have made it work. I think it's really just supporting the person, and if you love them, you want them to reach their full potential, and vice versa. He supports me in anything and everything I do. And it's good to be there for one another, as well as, try to make them the best version of themselves they can be. So when he runs ideas by me, I'm like, you should do that. I'm never like, oh, I don't know. It's always being positive for the person that is working hard, and also admiring how much he is the hardest worker I know. He works from the moment he gets up to the moment he goes to bed. And it's not something he hates, he enjoys it. And I see the joy from him. And I'm like, how can I be more like Noah? How can I be more positive? And it's just infectious. So honestly advise that maybe that's not the right relationship for you.
Yeah, I'm total agreement. If a person's selfish about what you have in store for them, it's really hard. And eventually, you're not in alignment. Thank you for being here. Congratulations on your new teaching position, by the way. And for sake of time, Peter, I just want to make sure everyone goes on the Clubhouse and make sure you're following Noah. He's fairly new to Clubhouse, so let's increase his followers there. And then Peter, back to you for your question.
You put such an amazing question that my mind is gonna fade away, when I'm gonna start to ask. So, I better wrap myself a little bit more tight on the question and make sure I'm gonna be coming with more edge to select that. So the second question that was from the first part. It's this idea that everybody wants to become a star, and everybody wants to become famous, and everybody is afraid to be on the stage. How you will advise somebody that will start at the beginning from the point of view of, I would say, the mindset, the way of to gear up, to be ready to become the star that they want to be, the star that they emulate, the star that they admire. And what will be the steps that maybe you took to be more confident into it?
That's a great question. I think it comes down to self-awareness. You have to be very self-aware of who am I? I mean, what are things that I've done when I was little? Or, where is my mind at? Am I someone that loves to build businesses? Am I someone that loves to be on stage and singing to people? You gotta really dial that in. And if you want to be famous, that's so broad to say. I think if that's your target goal, I think that's not really realistic. But to kind of answer your question regarding where did I, how did I get through the start of this? I would tell someone if they want to do something like build a business, you have got to know at the beginning of this thing, there was nothing harder.
100%.
I remember grinding hours and hours, talking to everybody I met and telling them about my service. Nobody was interested. Nobody even wanted to talk to me, rather do business with me. So I think it comes down to you have, like, a lot of people aren't going to make it, right? It's just like the sports leagues, like NFL or the baseball or anything else. There's a very small percentage of people that will get through the first 6 months to a year that are successful. And those people, I truly believe that if you were made for business, you're going to shine.
Do you have any business
and
questions?
it's just going to take time. Like, say 3 years goes by and still nothing's growing. Maybe it is, like a moment you need to look at yourself in the mirror and say, is it the idea? Is it me? Am I not made for this? But if that comes back to self-awareness, you got to be self-aware of who you are and what you're able to get through. I knew from a very small age that nothing can stop me. I knew that from the get-go. Middle school, nothing can stop me. I know that any challenge that comes my way, I know I can get through it because I've been through the hardest stuff. Like when it comes to business, it's not easy and not everyone can do it. And I think if you want to be known and be famous at what you do, I think it is attainable, like, to get known if that's what you mean by famous. Like, you can get known, but I think you have a higher chance of getting known if you know what you're good at and going all in and finding a mentor that's in that space. Like me, I've always wanted to do business. And now, it's not like I waited for anyone either to give me a business or give me an idea. I came up with what I love to be around. I love business. Let me make a business in this field that I love. And not one day has this ever felt like work, but at the same time, there's been hundreds of different challenges, like expanding a team, creating a website, pricing, staying up late to finish a session for a client that has to be due tomorrow morning. Follow-up's a huge portion of my day. There's 77 people that want to sign up this morning for our services. I have to go through all of them. Maybe some podcasts aren't the best fit for us. I have to have those discovery calls. We don't just say yes to everyone like we did at the very beginning. Now it's very much so. We want to work with the best. We want to work with big podcasters. We want to work with small podcasters that have great ideas, so we can make them big. But money. Now we're at a point where we can do that. But at the beginning, it is so difficult. But if you can get through that, if you are a tough warrior when it comes to business and marketing and sales and just meeting people and loving people, you'll get through it. But like I said, there's a very high percentage of people that can't do that, as I'm sure you could attest to.
Yeah, that was a great question. Did you have another one? Because I thought of another question as Noah was talking about that, Peter. I'm going to ask my question then, Noah. So I wrote down here when you were talking, because, I think the question for a lot of individuals might be, it's a question I have for myself. Is it better if you don't have a podcast, or you're just not out there doing those types of things? Is it better to start off being a guest on other people's stages like Grant talks about, or do you just
This is all about making money.
just start your own? What would you suggest to podcasters? Do they get known by
making money with the podcast?
Stages, or do they
Our life right now in 6 places.
That's a great question. Well, it depends if the person's comfortable and is confident. Start yesterday. But if they're not and they need some small wins, to say, oh, I can go on a podcast. I'm not afraid of my voice. I can project my thoughts and opinions and emotions. I can do that without feeling any type of way. You need to start a podcast immediately, if that's what you're trying to do. But if you are a little self-conscious, or maybe you just need some practice all day long, just like you said, like Grant said. I remember, if you're not doing so well with your own leads, go start doing trying different things with other people's leads. Like follow up with someone else's leads and try different things that you wouldn't try with your own leads. Just getting that activity level. And honestly, now I'm thinking about it, I would say go on other people's podcasts just for practice, then start a podcast. That way, when you hit the ground running with your own podcast, you have experience and you're not cringing at your own voice. And I think everything is solved. Any problem is solved with a large level of activity. Everything. If you want more sales, if you want more revenue, if you want more clients, if you want to meet more people, you need to shake a lot more hands. You need to send a lot more emails. And every problem is solved with large amounts of activity.
Yeah, Grant always says you don't have the people problem, have an activity problem. So I love that. Peter, did you have another question? Go ahead.
I was just wondering, I'm going to ask a question that's more like a household question, It's like, we are successful, the business is thriving, 70 people, they want to get in. How are you going to go around your household? How are we going to be like, who's going to do the cleaning of the house? Who's going to be, because now we are both here, also Noah and India. So I was just wondering, from, I would say, back door, the doors are closed, and everything is like, I would say, from a different perspective, it's time to wrap up the business. How Noah and India family, it's going beyond doors to be successful also on that side, and how they manage to put their time in that service. And just a fun question for those people that are busy and they don't have time for nothing, to share some of those insights of the business side.
Yeah, so just trying to, be on the same page. So what exactly was the question? Like, when do you know you need to wrap up?
Who does the chores? Who does the chores? How do you manage the stuff around the house?
Okay. Well, I think it's not who does it. I think you both do it. Because I see it, me and India's relationship very much like we're a team. It's not you do this, I do this, you stay in your lane, I stay in mine. It's very much like we do the same stuff. We do large amounts of activity. I've got her following grants, so she is just an absolute beast. Once she mentioned when I wake up, I'm nonstop all day. She's the exact same way. We both hit the pillow at the same time, and we feel very fulfilled in life because we don't balance. We do everything we want to do. If we want to go out to dinner and then send 1,000 emails and then do 100 calls and follow up with people, we do everything we want to do. And it's funny because we don't have like a stigma towards, oh, she does the chores, I do dishes, she does vacuuming. We all do the same stuff and we get it all done. And I think once other people in relationships figure that part out, like you're a team, it requires the same amount of effort. You get everything done quicker because there's not like it's not up in the air. Like, does she know she does that? Does he know that he's supposed to do that? We just get it done. We get everything done immediately, and then you have more time to do stuff that you want to do. I know every morning, like this morning, me and her actually bring out like a little notebook on the island. I write down everything I want in the future. She does the same thing. And then we reinforce it at nighttime. This is what I want. This is what I want. And it gets us pumped about life. Like as soon as we wake up and go to sleep, it's like it's gonna all these things that you want are gonna happen. It's just a matter of time really and what you're doing to get closer to that goal. So I think that's what keeps us really engaged and present and grounded in life is writing down these goals, knowing what we want, and being excited about it coming because it is coming.
Amazing.
India, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I would like to add, so I'm in a place right now with this giant whiteboard where we write all of our kind of things that need to get done around the house, and it's just kind of like we check it off as we do it. We are big into writing down things. If you write things down, you're more likely to complete it. And we kind of have talks together, like, okay, this needs to get done today. And then we kind of just, decide who's going to do it. Where it's not like, oh, you're doing more of the chores, so I'm going to do something else. It's kind of like whoever gets to it, gets to it. And just communication, that's a huge thing. Being able to communicate, if I see that he has a busy day with clients, I'll say, you know what, I can tell that you have a lot of, podcasting to do, so I'll take care of this. So it's really about kind of making some sacrifices too. If you see that the other person might be struggling or has a lot going on, you just kind of step up and take that responsibility. You do it because you love and care about, and we both never set each other back. We actually make each other better. So that's something very important to have in a partner, someone who stands by you and wants to see you do the best, and we do have a lot of the same mindset. We'll eat dinner, we'll listen to Grant, we'll wake up and we're watching the news. We're always trying to educate ourselves. So sometimes the best time that we have together is actually when we're getting things done and learning. So I was just gonna add that.
Amazing. And just because we kind of getting out of time and we want to make sure can you tell us where you can find people can find more about you and how they can reach out to you, how they can get engaged with you, and what are the things that I would say they should definitely reach you with? What are the things that you can sell for your customer that if somebody's in that, I would say, situation, definitely it's a good fit to work together.
Yeah, I would say I'm not someone that this took me a little bit to realize. So I don't sell anything. I don't sell editing or marketing or social media. What I sell is a fully fledged, successful podcast that you can do anything you want with. If you're a business owner, three things: more revenue, more clients, and positions you as a professional in any industry that you're in. That is what I help you with. If you have certain issues like, hey, I just want to get more known. That's something we hear every single day from podcasters. No, I want more people to hear me. I work so hard on this podcast. That's an easy solution. I would tell them to get one of our marketing packages at BrittonMedia.com/marketing to reach us and my team with any problems you have, or say you even want to launch a podcast tomorrow. And this is just a great opportunity for you to do that. BrittonMedia.com. That's BRITON media.com. And yeah, and that's really it. Like, if you want to follow us on social, my Instagram is Noah, NOAHSWID for Swiderski, and that's on Instagram. You can see a lot of our social media as well. On the bottom portion of our website, we like to keep an Instagram feed from what we got going on. But if you guys want a podcast, now is the best time to do so. It's the fastest growing platform there is as far as a marketing tool for your business, or if you just want, to get heard and drive that attention to something else you got going on. Now is the best time. 2022 is the best time to start a podcast. I can only, imagine what 2023 is going to bring. It's just been incredible growth. So very thankful for that. And Peter and Tabitha for starting this room. So very, very, very appreciative, and I'm sure you guys as well. Did you want to share any socials for people to follow you at?
Sorry, I was attending to the puppy. People can follow me on Instagram. It's India_May with 2 Y's. You'll see a lot of me sharing Noah's content, and he does daily posts with podcasting tips, tricks, so it's definitely worth a follow. He always responds there as well, so if you have any questions, that's another way to contact him. Thank you, Tabitha and Peter, for having this event and hosting. I know that it means a lot to Noah and myself, and I hope we continue our connections in the future.
I'm trying to add, no, I don't know if you can. I was trying to add your link to the top of the page so that your website, so that the individuals who are listening to this on the replay could click on that. I just wasn't able to do it. I kept getting an error. Yeah, okay, perfect. So yeah, Noah posted the in the chat the web address. If you want to reach out to him, I would not hesitate. And I know we're 3 minutes over, Noah, but I had one more question that I was thinking. I'm always trying to attack this as the what would I want to know about this. So your best client, you talked about how you can't serve everyone, and you're now in a position as a client, and now you know who your client is. Talk to the person about that. Who is your client? Who do you serve best? So the individuals listening to the replay, or do you say, you know what, schedule something, a discovery call, and will identify whether or not you can serve them and their needs. As we wrap up, what would you say to that, Noah?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to we need to have a discussion. What I look for in working with a podcaster is, even if you're brand new or a small podcaster or a big podcaster, I look for the same thing. It's, are you clear about who you are and what you want? So, the ideal customer is someone who has, quote unquote, their stuff together. So, you look for, a podcaster that has everything together and managed, and they're already doing it. In an ideal world, they're already putting out really successful results as far as listeners, streams, which means there's a clear need in the market, whatever that may be. That just, I think that's the number one client I look for is someone that's consistent. If they listen back to this episode, I think it comes out of consistency, someone that's committed on the podcast, putting it out constantly and engaging with the community. I love working with podcasters who are already having conversations with listeners that may be interested. I like to think of it more as I love when people don't necessarily claim themselves as professionals in their field. I don't claim myself as, the master of podcasting. I just like thinking of myself as someone that's very involved in the community, more of like an enthusiast, because that way it takes this, it gives me relief. Like I don't have to portray, I know absolutely everything about podcasting because I'm constantly learning. This market, especially being the fastest growing platform to be on is podcasting, because everyone listens to podcasts in the kitchen, on a canoe, driving home from soccer practice. People listen to it everywhere, and I think the trends are always different, Peter and Tabitha. So I think it just comes down to staying engaged, being an enthusiast. I love podcasting. I love the community. I know almost everyone in the podcasting community as far as the big podcasters, and I'm always meeting new people. Like today, I've already met 10 people that I had no idea who they were yesterday. And a lot of them I'm following up with. We're developing relationships. I'm helping them. They're helping me. So I think it just comes down to, having that discovery call with them, seeing that they have their stuff together. People love their show. And, people that don't necessarily have their things together or thoughts together yet or clarity, they probably ideally wouldn't benefit from our services, because if you don't know what you want, how do we help someone that doesn't know what they need, so.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Noah, we appreciate you. Make sure you follow Noah here on Clubhouse and his beautiful fiance, India. This powerhouse couple, I promise you will continue to hear from and see. This is the Growth Mastermind Group. We're a group of entrepreneurs whose mission, vision, and purpose is to help you, yes, you, the entrepreneur, find, unleash, and fulfill your potential. We meet here each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we did put Noah's website linked up to the top. And just for a quick recap, the nuggets I wrote down. Noah said, if you want to succeed with your podcast, you have to, number one, have clarity in what you want to get out of the podcast. 2, be consistent. Even if it's once a week, it's the same day and the same time, so that people know when to look for you. And 3, know in your clarity what the most popular, how to grow your audience, okay? And your listening audience, he said, you need to research the most popular hashtags in your area of expertise and start connecting with them.
Thank you very much, Noah. Yay. Amazing. Just to give a wrap-up conclusion on this room, we just had the room with Noah, and his name is Noah Swiderski. Yeah, it's spelled Swiderski, and he's basically a marketing person that helps people with a podcast to get to their 6, 7 digits. And he's a dude. That means he's already doing this and he's taking his model and use it towards other. And if you want to learn more about that, feel free to check our podcast on YouTube. And we have more information about this. And we're gonna have another interview, maybe soon with him. That's gonna be a one-on-one interview that we're gonna post it only for the membership. And this being said, I appreciate you that you watch us, and looking forward to hear more. And we have another amazing interview that's gonna come this Monday, so stay tuned. There are more things to come, and that's all. I appreciate and have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.